Chair, I'm sorry, this is Jennifer in Democratic Services.
Okay, I apologise. Apologies for that delay. We were in the middle of a roll call and we were down to the name of Councillor Von Kirche. Councillor Von Kirche, can you confirm your name?
Hello, yes, Councillor Von Kirche here, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Councillor Lord, please.
Councillor Sylvia Lord, I have no prejudicial interest to declare on this agenda.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, please.
Councillor Imogen Makepeace, I have no interest to declare on this agenda.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Lawrence O'Connor, I have no interest to declare on the items on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papanikolaou.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I can now. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Councillor Nicola Papanikolaou. Have no items to declare on this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders, please.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Saunders here, Newhaven, Vice Chair of the committee. I have no interest to declare other than, like all of my colleagues, item 8, I am a Lewes District Councillor and this is a Lewes District application, but it's a non-prejudicial interest in this one. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Mrs. Stone.
Just to say, you missed out Councillor Linda Duhigg.
Yes, I thought that's where we finished there. Councillor Duhigg.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Linda Duhigg, I have no declarations of interest on this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Also joining us are officers Mr. Andrew Hill, Senior Planning Advisor, and Mrs. Joanne Stone, Solicitor, who are in attendance to present reports and respond to any questions from members. Democratic Services Officer Mrs. Jennifer Norman is also in attendance, and other Democratic Services officers are assisting in the background on this meeting. Please can I ask all participants ensure their microphones have been muted when not speaking. If you have connection issues, you may find it will help if you turn off your camera when not speaking. Agenda item 4, minutes. Councillors, do you wish me to sign the minutes of the last meeting on 25th November 2020 as a correct record? I will take it that all are in agreement unless someone speaks now to disagree. I see no hands in disagreement, so thank you. Agenda item 5, urgent items. There are no items to be considered as a matter of emergency. There is no supplementary report. Agenda item 6, petitions. There are no petitions. Agenda item 7, written questions. There are no written questions from members pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 12.3. Now, to ensure that all parties are clear as to the Council's constitution, the committee is not in a position to accept any new additional documentation sent to us electronically today, although previously submitted documents will be referred to as part of the officer's presentation where appropriate. We now come to the planning applications. For those unfamiliar with the procedure of planning applications, first there is a presentation by planning officers. Then we would normally hear public speakers. However, live public speaking has temporarily been suspended during remote meetings. Instead, Public speakers have been invited to send in speeches which will be read out by an officer. Any received will be heard in this order. A representation from town or parish council, maximum of 5 minutes. Up to 3 speeches from objectors, a maximum of 3 minutes each. Up to 3 speeches from supporters, a maximum of 3 minutes each. A speech from a ward member, a maximum of 5 minutes. Members are then invited to discuss the application and put forward a recommendation. I will ask members to raise their hands electronically if they wish to speak. If their electronic hand is not working, please kindly raise your hand and I'll look for it. To vote, I will call the name of each committee member in alphabetical order. Please clearly state whether you are for, against, or are abstaining from voting, or if you have missed part of the debate and are unable to vote. It is essential that members are present for the entire presentation and discussion of the application to be able to vote on that item. If a member very briefly loses their internet connection, this may not disqualify them from voting on the item, provided they seek clarification as to anything they may have missed as soon as possible after they have reconnected. Can all councillors, officers and participants please clearly state their name each time they speak, so that it is clear to members of the public listening who is speaking. Can I please now move to planning applications not within the South Downs National Park, the first being application number LW/20/0702, proposal, creation of community hub with 10 converted shipping containers with PV panels for use as cafe with decked seating area, information hub, travel hubs, workshop hubs, and 3 geodomes to support tourism, community uses, and sustainable transport. Ward Newhaven. Applicant Lewes District Council. Recommendation approve subject to conditions. Mr. Hill, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. See this, right, first application at Railway Quay. This is the site as laid out in your agenda item. It's just to the east of the river and just to the south of Railway Approach. The south of the site is the UTC building, and immediately to the north is the Railway Club. Access to the site is, I'll show you on some photos in a minute, but is to the east and the west and wraps around the club itself. The proposal, as read out by the chairman, is really to create a hub, a community hub for up to 10 steel container cabins on the site, some geodomes. This is the sort of provisional layout which has been submitted. This shows 5 of the containers, 2 to the south of the site, just abutting the UTC building, which will be to promote active travel, where a number of cycle racks will be provided. To the western side and adjacent to the river, there will be a large raised deck which will take the level up to the height equal to the top of the gabions to allow views out over the river, and to the west side of Newhaven. And this will be to the northern side, the refreshment hub with a number of facilities for outdoor seating, outdoor eating. And on the northern side of that refreshment hub will be a number of toilets to be provided for the site. On the other side, you have a general tourist information hub, which is closer to the access point itself. And a number of geodomes are shown here in sort of the centre of the site, and an area here which is yet undecided for future use, but there are a number of ideas in terms of external performance, external displays, etc. But the permission itself is seeking consent for up to 10 shipping containers, as I've said, and the plans we have at the moment are showing the location of 5 of them on the site itself. These won't be just left as steel containers, they will be clad in timber, and the roofs will potentially accommodate PV panels. The top view here is a view looking north towards the railway club in the background. And this is the information hub. This is the refreshment area with the deck. So this is a section through the site. The bottom one is looking to the west with the UTC building and the railway club here looking across the site with the geodomes, tourist hub in the foreground. So they're quite low profile buildings, clad in, as I say, timber cladding. There's a couple more shots. This is looking from the south with the 2 containers that were located on the southern side immediately in front of the UTC building. And again, the last shot here is looking east from the towards the Riverside Walk. This is just some photos of the site itself. This is the railway club. Almost a prefabricated building, single story, and to the rear, the larger UTC building. And it's the land in between. So there'll be an access on this side here and on this side of the railway club. Again, just moving out to the river, looking back towards the east, the railway club here, showing the access, and just in the distance here, the railway station. Walking to the end of railway approach, looking back across, looking in a southwesterly direction, again with the railway club here. And this is one of the access points. And behind there, all the structures will be located. And you can just make out the roof of the UTC building. And just a shot from the swing bridge, a more recent shot showing the UTC building with its extension, and it will sit within that area here with the deck at a level with the top of the gabions. Again, just looking at the approach to the site, looking due south along the access road, the site over here, and one last shot looking across. So this is the area in question. I think generally it's undisputed in terms of being an untidy site, and that a facility like this on the entrance to New Haven, adjacent to and very close to the port and the railway station, will be an important hub both in terms of transport to and from and into the town, as well as providing a meeting place and a place for community facilities. So it's, as you can see from the report, there have been no objections. The Town Council were generally supportive, raised a couple of questions. And again, the Port Authority was the only respondent to the consultation. And again, no objection at all, just raising some concerns or issues concerning signage. The comments made by both parties have been included within the report and in the conditions. We're aware that this is sort of a project which is going to develop over time. This is coming to you because it is a council's own development, and it is very likely that there will be other structures or changes to the scheme itself. As and when those come in, those applications would come to you. Any discharge of conditions, and you can see there's a number of conditions that we are proposing here in terms of lighting, signage, sustainability in terms of EV charging points, covered cycle storage, the details of those details would be dealt with by officers. But any more substantial changes other than that which is included within the description of development, any lighting, any other additional features such as covered areas or other alternative uses, these are applications that will be required as a fresh planning application, and these would come to you. So we think this is a good use of the site, a good and important community facility, and are recommending approval as set out in the report.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. I will call on Mrs. Jennifer Norman to read out public speeches, if there are any. Are there, Mrs. Norman?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Jennifer Norman in Democratic Services, and thank you to Mr. Hill for his presentation of the application. We have received one written representation in respect of the application, which I will read and present now, and this is a speech written on behalf of Mr. Simon Moore, the agent. The aim of this application is to assist in regenerating this area of New Haven and to bring communities together. We are applying for a total of 10 containers to be placed on this site over a 5-year period, which will be used to encourage community use in forms of workshops and to bring people together. This will support and promote sustainable transport within the area and will provide a cafe for people to meet in as a destination whilst enjoying the Riverside Walk. The aim is to bring people into an underused area of New Haven. Through this statement, we want to clarify that initially there will be 5 containers on the site, and the other 5 will be brought onto the site in phases once the funding is available. These additional containers will support the uses of the 5 original containers. This will provide ongoing support for identified needs of the area and of the users of the site. It will allow for the proposals to be responsive to ever-changing requirements and meet the challenges and aspirations of the local authority. This is a great opportunity to help assist in the regeneration of New Haven. And that concludes the representations, Chair, in respect of the application.
Thank you, Mrs. Norman. Councillors, over to you for your comments and questions. I will invite councillors to indicate by raising an electronic hand. If you wish to speak, I will take a note and call your name in turn. And the first hand I see up is Councillor Makepeace. Do I see any other hands up, please, at this stage? I do not. Councillor Makepeace, please.
I think Councillor Jones's hand was up as well, so I'm not sure. Maybe not.
Yes, it is.
I can't see you on my screen, that's why. There you are. I found you, Councillor Jones. All is well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to really be enthusiastic about this. I think that it's a great use of the land, and I think that we may very well start to see little businesses perhaps come in there, people hiring bicycles or repairing bicycles and that sort of thing. And I really welcome it. The one thing that I am concerned about is Highways pointing out that they aren't prepared to do anything about pedestrian or safe access to the site because of its temporary nature. And temporary meaning 5 years means that's quite a lot of time for it to be a confusing and difficult place for people to get to, especially as we're considering it as an active travel. So I understand that there's a sort of a pause in the expectation that there will be decent pedestrian and cycling access to it, but I regret that it's going to take them 5 years of this location being used, and I'm sure it'll be used well before they do anything about it.
Thank you, Councillor Makepeace. Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. My questions really are centered around the length of time this is likely to take. Okay, so putting an application in, and if it's approved, that means it's got 3 years before we can start work on it. I would like to have a much more confident view of when we are going to start the building, how long is it going to take. Now, I know this is difficult at the moment. Lewes District Council are the applicants for this site. That's not to say that Lewes District are the ones which are going to provide all the funding for this. Presumably we'll be going out for funding invites. But I think it's a great idea. I'm fully supportive of it. But when are we going to start? When is it going to finish? a much clearer idea of the various stages which are going to come into being. It's just this uncertainty. I'd hate to think that in 3 years' time we're still talking about what's going to be there exactly and how it's going to be used. So we can have some idea of how long is the project going to take. Are we confident about achieving the funding for this?
Thank you. I'm going to collect the questions and then put them to the officers after. In the meantime, I see Councillor Amy's hand. I do see your hand, Councillor Saunders. Councillor Amy, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I very much welcome this. I don't know whether Councillor Jones is aware that this is money that's been given by the government and it has to be spent by March the 31st or April the 1st. And that is why it's gone in for planning now, and it is quite an advanced scheme. So I think basically January will start us working on this particular scheme. I welcome every aspect of this. I would love to have seen the old train that used to run around this area. I believe it's at Sheffield Park now in the railway station there. It was called the Stepney, and it would be a wonderful tourist attraction to have it on those particular railway lines that are there, the little siding place. But I know they're going to put exhibitions there, and I welcome that if they can't get the little train there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Amy. Councillor Saunders, please.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Saunders here. I share the welcoming of this development. It's been in a sorry state for quite a few years now, and as we mentioned at Callover, it could do with a spruce up, and this is certainly what it is. It would be nice to have had more time to have developed something that was more, should we say, attractive. But however, it's a good scheme in what it's trying to do. Councillor Makepeace mentioned the cycleway and the access to and from it, and there are a few problems with the cycleway. The cycleway, the existing one at the moment, which comes through the Ouse Valley Nature Reserve to the east from Seaford, crosses over the bridge. There are some small signs which ask cyclists to get off the bikes at that point, walk them across, but the majority of them don't, and they cycle across. And if we're going to encourage more cyclists down there, there may be an issue there, and it's a shame that highways are not going to be putting any more signage in to improve that. So it might be something that we could put as an advisory on, Mr. Hill, about improving some signage across the bridge in particular. It'll also be helped greatly when the Egrets Way cycle network is completed, and we're encouraging cyclists to come off the ferry and then go on possibly up towards Lewes, etc., and enjoy the Ouse Valley and what it has to offer. I'm, as I say, I've got possibly more of a guarded welcome than some of my colleagues, but I'm genuinely at this stage for the application, and I'm more than happy if you want to look for a proposer to be one of those, either to propose or second chair at this stage. Thank you.
Okay. Whilst we're here, do I see a hand for a seconder whilst I'm here? Hand up, I see Councillor Duhigg. Is that correct? Please say yes.
Come on.
Yes, Chair. I am seconding Councillor Saunders' proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, just before we go there, can we just go back to Mr. Hill? I see Councillor Amy's hand up. Is that correct?
You're on mute, Graham. You're on mute.
Sorry, my hand is down now.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Jones's hand is up.
I'm so sorry. If we could possibly go to Mr. Hill, if we could just go through those questions and comments that have been made. I think it was Councillor Amy answered quite a lot of them, but it was the finish start any uncertainty, but it seems to be Councillor Amy's answered that. And then there was a comment about signage, which I believe is already in the conditions, but perhaps Mr. Hill can run that through us. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Yes, I was going to say, thank you, Councillor Amy. I think you answered most of Councillor Jones's comments then in terms of the start, how long it's going to take. From a planning perspective, it really isn't an issue here. You're just looking at the land use of the site itself. That's for the council's regeneration team to sort that out. But yes, the funding, as I explained at Callover, the application itself has been a bit rushed. It's not a polished application, but it does give you a fair idea of what they want to do on the site and the funding. As Councillor Amy said, we're looking, I think that they'll be looking to make a start very early in the new year. They have to get that money spent, otherwise they'd lose it. And I think with regard to signage, yes, we put a condition on already, condition 4, which covers that signage because it is isolated, it is on the other side of the road, and I think it's something that people trying to find that site or trying to get to it easily, it does need clear signage. I can understand Councillor Makepeace's points about the highways and their investment, but again, for a short-term use, they're not going to spend a lot of money improving highway links and footpaths and crossings and what have you. I think the important thing here is to make this this use of this site, which I think it needs something here. It is very shabby, and as a gateway, as you're coming out of the port and out of the railway station, you need something that is going to be quite attractive and to allow people to find out where they're going and how to get there. And I think if this scheme comes off and it works, and it is the vibrant hub that it could easily be, then I think then there could be further investment into those things such as cycle links, crossings, etc. in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. I think that covers the questions. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Chair. Just one other little thing that came from Callover. We suggested an advisory regarding the connection to the toilets to mains drainage. Can Mr. Hill confirm that that's been put on as an advisory? Thank you.
Yeah, what we said we'd do is because it's down to them and there must be drainage on there, we agreed at Callover, if members are happy with that, that I would just ping an email to the regeneration team just to make them aware of the fact that if at all possible, that would be better than having water cabins, and that email has gone off.
Councillor Saunders, are you content?
Very happy, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think that we can actually go to the vote, and to make it clear, we have a proposal from Councillor Jones that is seconded by Councillor Duhigg, and that is to go with the officer's recommendation, subject to conditions, and the aforementioned email that has been sent that we have agreed we are content with. Okay.
Chair, I think it was me that proposed it, but I'm happy if Tom wants to be the proposer. It's not a problem.
I'm terribly sorry about that. What do you wish to do? It's December. Your wish.
It's a Christmas gift to Councillor Jones. Thank you.
Well, how very generous. Thank you, Councillor Saunders. The spirit of Christmas indeed. So we have a proposal from Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Duhigg, gifted by Councillor Saunders, and that is to approve planning permission subject to conditions and the aforementioned note that Mr. Hill has mentioned. And I'm going to the roll call, please. Councillor Amy, for, against, abstain.
Sorry, Chair, for.
Thank you. Councillor Clay, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Clay, for.
Thank you. Councillor Duhigg, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Linda Duhigg, for, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Von Kirche, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Von Kirche, for.
Thank you. Councillor Lord, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Lord, for.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Makepeace, for.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, for, against, abstain.
Councillor O'Connor, for.
Thank you. Councillor Papanikolaou, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Papanikolaou, for.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Saunders, for.
Thank you. So I'd like to go over to Mrs. Stone for us to give the result of that vote, please. Mrs. Stone.
Councillor Jones,
Chair.
for.
Yeah, thank you. You missed Councillor Jones through you, Chair. But yes, in any way, counting Councillor Jones or not, it's unanimously carried.
Thank you, Mrs. Stone. So that is planning permission has been approved subject to conditions, which is LW/20/0702 land at Railway Quay, New Haven, East Sussex proposal. Creation of community hub with 10 converted shipping containers with PV panels for use as cafe with decked seating area, information hub, travel hubs, workshop hubs, and 3 geodomes to support tourism, community uses, and sustainable transport. Ward, New Haven, applicant, Lewes District Council, and planning permission has been granted, subject to conditions. Thank you. The next agenda item 9 is application number LW/19/0371, location, land south and west of the East Sussex County Council Port Access Road, Southern Roundabout. Proposal, application for stopping up and diversion of public footpaths at New Haven Port under Section 257, Town and Country Planning Act 1990, Ward, New Haven, Denton and Meeching. Recommendation that the Director of Regeneration and Planning be granted delegated authority to make and confirm a stopping up and diversion order relating to part of public footpath 7B, part of public footpath 40A, and part of public footpath 40B, to carry out all legal steps required to publicise and consult on the order, and C, subject to no objections being received or any objection received having been withdrawn, to make and confirm the order and to publicise it as required by the legislation. Mr. Hill, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, this is an application. This isn't a planning application. This is, as the Chairman has just mentioned, this is seeking the committee's authorisation to take the necessary legal acts to allow for the stopping up and diversion of a public footpath. Now, the diversion of the public footpath is as a result of a planning application that the committee considered in April 2020, which is for the extension to the Port Access Road. This is the location, as some of you may remember. And again, just showing you the aerial photo, just to give you the bearings. This is Mill Creek, and the Port Access Road comes in from the north and across and finished here in a roundabout. And the application that the committee considered was this application, which provided a spur off the roundabout to the north and a spur off to the south to provide access and egress to the port itself. So that access would go in here and go in to the south. As a result of granting permission for those spurs to be created, there's an existing footpath which runs along the north of the adjacent site here and down the border of the port land and linking into the footpaths to the south. As a result, obviously, of that road going in, this is the Port Access Road, that was the roundabout where it ended. So you granted consent for an access here and an access coming off to the south. This is just to give you an idea of the footpath network themselves, to the north and to the south, linking through to the beach and to Tide Mills. So as a result of granting that, footpath 7A and 7B, which is in the description of development, which is shown here, which would run down the side, has to be diverted. So the diversion runs from A to E to D to C. Now that is the proposed alignment of the permanent path. However, it will be temporary from January to approximately June 2021, by which time the access roads themselves would have been completed and the footpath itself can then be made permanent. And as a result of making that footpath permanent, it will also allow the two spurs, the link here from G to F, to link into the realigned footpath. And also, once the Port Access Road itself is opened and operational, which, as I say, should be sometime in the early summer next year, it would also, that will be allow the footpath which runs along the side of the Port Access Road to be also brought into use formally, which will provide that linkage through to the footpath networks to the north, and again linking through round the site back into the south. There shouldn't be, talking to the applicant and East Sussex County Council, who are the rights of way responsibilities, there shouldn't be any time when the footpath is closed at all. The temporary alignment will be secured using a new temporary order to close the existing path and to divert on a temporary basis along that alignment, and that will then be made permanent, as I say, once this process has gone through and all the roads are constructed. Point was raised at call over about the alignment of it, and again, just for those that didn't attend call over, the routing here goes underneath the Port Access Road. It's shown as a dashed line over the top, but it does pass underneath and then links through. So we're recommending that the committee approves the recommendations set out on page 17 and authorises the director to make and confirm A, the stopping and diversion order, B, to carry out all legal steps required to publicise and consult on that order, and finally C, that on the basis that no objections are received, to make and confirm the order and publicise it as required by the legislation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mrs. Norman, do we have any public speeches, please?
No, Chair, I can confirm that we do not have any speeches in respect of this application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I have three hands up here, and that's Councillor Jones, Councillor Saunders, Councillor Makepeace. I'm going to suggest Councillor Saunders begins. I didn't see which of your hands came up first. Councillor Saunders, please.
Thank you, Chair. It was my left hand that came up first. Sorry. It was just checking on that one on page 16, I believe it was, Mr. Hill. If you could bring that up, it shows A to E, which is the section you're suggesting goes underneath the new Port Access Road. I can see across from where I live in Bishopston, and I couldn't see any tunnel or anything underneath. Have we got any photos of that from where it is now, just to confirm? I've got no problems other than it's said that it goes underneath, but I couldn't see anything. I know I'm a little way away, but I've got quite good views. I didn't know if you've got anything that you can show us from pictures from the site on that one, just to confirm, please.
Yeah, no, sorry, I haven't got any photos of that because it's just looking at the alignment of the order itself. It's not a planning application. It's just to confirm the steps, the legal steps necessary to, as I say, stop up and divert the footpath. I'm led to believe that passes underneath. If it does actually, if there is no linkage underneath, it has to go over, then so be it. But as I say, my belief in looking at the plans was that it actually passes underneath the access road there.
It's just, thank you, Mr. Hill. It was just that it was raised at call over that if it doesn't go underneath, then they're going to have to provide a crossing across the port access road to maintain this in some form, I would suggest. And therefore, whether we make that a condition of passing this, I don't know if that's possible, that either it goes under or that that there is a crossing provided. I think that's important, just for safety aspects. Thank you.
Yeah, I just draw members' attention to paragraph 5.2. The diverted footpath will run from point A, approximately 111 metres in a southeasterly direction, passing under the new port access road at point B.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and take a walk over there over the next few days and see if I can see if it does or not. But and then come back to you on that one. So, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Councillor Jones, please. I can see your hand, by the way, Councillor Makepeace. Councillor Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. The one point I had was exactly this. In 5.2, it does say quite clearly that it goes underneath. The question I raise is, if it goes underneath, does it dip underneath? And if it dips underneath, and looking at the level of the ground around that area, would it be prone to flooding at any time, which would prevent people to be able to use the footpath underneath? Conversely, if it's going over the top, then that wouldn't be a cause for flooding or possible flooding, because then the bridge would be raised above it. But if it's going underneath, I'm assuming there's going to be an inclination down, a dip down underneath. And it's something I think we should mention and bring to the attention of it's highways, I'm assuming, we're going to take the responsibility for this, that they look very carefully at the possibility of flooding if it does go underneath and the footpath dips underneath. So I think it does need some form of informative or perhaps condition to highlight our concerns over that. Thank you very much.
I think the simple thing there is to contact the Rights of Way officer just to let them know the concerns raised. But we're not talking here about the design of the footpaths. This is a legal process just to confirm or not the order. But those points taken on board, and we will just ping an email through to the Rights of Way in terms of that design.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go over to Councillor Makepeace and Councillor O'Connor, perhaps we just go to Mrs. Stone as far as that last comment, as far as the legal process, please, Mrs. Stone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Joanne Stone, solicitor. Just to confirm that part of the legal process to make and confirm an order, the order will provide a schedule of works that have to be carried out to the satisfaction of the Rights of Way Department at East Sussex County Council and the District Council before it takes effect. So, I mean, that's part and parcel of this process, and the works will be specified in the order and have to be carried out before the definitive map can be updated and the map is signed off. So we can reassure members on that point.
Thank you, Mrs. Stone. Over to Councillor Makepeace, please.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, and I wanted to confirm that this is about stopping a footpath while another footpath is created as a diversion. And could Mr. Hill confirm that there will always be access, that there won't be at any time a restriction in access to the public to use either one or other of the paths? Obviously, the old path will be blocked, but the new path will always be accessible.
Yeah, I was given confirmation today that at no time when the footpath is closed will there be no access to the public. So whatever happens, the intention is to make sure that access is available at all time, either with the existing one or when the temporary path is put in place through that temporary path until it's finalised and the orders are all confirmed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, content with the response?
I am. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm no specialist, but looking at Appendix C, and the route of the proposed footpath, it is quite close to the bridge, so it may well go under the bridge as it comes off the river. But either way, I think, you know, that we've got the proposal here, and I think it's quite acceptable. So from my point of view, I would like to propose that we go ahead and approve this, or the correct words, well, whatever the correct words, bearing in mind this is, we give authority, yes, to the delegated authority to the Director of Regeneration and Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor. I see some hands up. Have I got a seconder here, please?
Councillor Jones.
Thank you. Councillor Jones is seconding that. Okay, I see no more hands. So to be clear, obviously I'm going to read this after a decision has been made as far as the authority to be given to the Director of Regeneration and Planning be granted delegated authority to make and confirm a stopping up and diversion order relating to part of public footpath 7B, part of public footpath 40A, and part of public footpath 40B, to carry out all legal steps required to publicise and consult on the order, and C, subject to no objections being received or any objection received having been withdrawn, to make and confirm the order and to publicise it as required by the legislation. So we are now going to the roll call, giving authority to the Director of Regeneration and Planning for delegated authority. First of all, Councillor Amy, for, against, abstain, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Clay, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Clay, for.
Thank you. Councillor Duhigg, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Linda Duhigg, for. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Jones, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Jones, for.
Thank you. Councillor Von Kerthy, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Von Kerthy, for.
Thank you. Councillor Lord, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Lord, for.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Makepeace, I'm voting for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor O'Connor, for.
Thank you. Councillor Papanikolaou, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Papanikolaou, for.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Saunders, for.
Thank you. May I turn to Mrs Stone for the result of that vote, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that vote has been carried unanimously.
Thank you. And as I've read it out before, I think we were clear in what we voted, that the recommendation that the Director of Regeneration and Planning be granted delegated authority. Thank you. So that has been approved. We now turn to the next item, which is within the South Downs National Park. Application number SDNP/20/00497/FUL. Applicant Lewes District Council. Application: construction of emergency exit ramp to rear of library. Address: Lewes House site, Friars Walk, Lewes, East Sussex. Recommendation that the application be approved for the reasons and subject to the conditions set out in paragraph 10 of this report. Mr. Hill.
Chairman, just taking you to Lewes Library. This is the larger site known as the Lewes House site. You've got the new library here. Proposal is to provide new emergency access from the first floor of the building to at the rear for people with mobility difficulties. give you an idea of the location of the site, this is the access road which serves Styles Field, which is the private residential development to the rear. Your location is here, this part of the library, just here. And proposal, there's an existing access, but you don't have a flush threshold onto the existing pathway. So as a result of that, they've had to, or proposing to build a ramp, which will take you down. It's a lot of building work for the height really, but there is no way of getting people out of the building at first floor level in the case of an emergency. So very simple railings. When I show you the photos, they're very similar to those which already exist around the site over here, which are here on the top of the wall. So the access is here and it just comes out, but you don't have, because of the step, as you can see, there's a step here. So it will come off the deck, it will run back to the railings and dog legs straight back down to link in with the path here and the flush threshold. There's no amenity issues, and we're recommending approval as set out in the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. I don't believe that there is anything that needs to be read out as far as public speeches from Mrs. Norman. So we will go straight to the committee, please, for their comments. Currently, I do not see anyone's hand up.
Councillor Jones, I flagged up.
Councillor Jones, thank you.
Okay, Chair, I think this is a health and safety issue which is much needed, and I have very little to add what's into the report, other than the fact that I pretty very minded, in fact, approve this application on the grounds of health and safety, if nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor O'Connor, please.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councillor Jones, and it's absolutely necessary to do this, and a lot of work's gone in to get it to this stage with various bits being taken out of this, so this could be moved forward, and it seems sensible if Councillor Jones was, or I'm quite prepared to propose this, unless Councillor Jones wanted to do so.
I think
but thank you.
Proposed. Would you kindly like to second, please? Councillor O'Connor?
I will second that there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Saunders, please.
Sorry, Chair, I was going to second, so I'm removing my hand icon, and I'm eagerly awaiting the vote now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other hands up. So the proposal on the table, and to approve the recommendation. The proposer is from Councillor Jones. The seconder is Councillor O'Connor. So I shall now go to the roll call for all those who support the recommendation. First of all, Councillor Amy, for, against, abstain, please.
For, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Clay, please, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Clay, for.
Thank you. Councillor Doohig, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Linda Doohig, for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones, please, for, against, abstain.
Councillor Jones, for.
Thank you. Councillor Boncote, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Boncote, for.
Thank you. Councillor Lord, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Lord, for.
Thank you. Councillor Makepeace, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Makepeace, for.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor O'Connor, for.
Thank you. Councillor Papanikolaou, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Papanikolaou, for.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders, for, against, abstain, please.
Councillor Saunders, for, Chair.
Thank you. So the application has been approved, and to make it clear, the development hereby permitted shall begin before the expiration of 3 years from the date of this permission. And planning permission has been granted. Thank you. That actually concludes our actual planning applications. But before we go, I'd just like to say a few words, please, to my fellow colleagues on the committee and also to officers in democratic services. Firstly, I shan't go over old ground of what 2020 has been. It has been a pretty disastrous year for the world. However, I would like to say that the huge amount of thanks should be given to the Democratic Services Department, please. They have given us immeasurable patience, have been professional all the way through, and have certainly helped me a great deal to help us as a planning team to retain our freedom of speech whilst adhering to these virtual meetings, which are a challenge. I personally would like to thank every colleague on the planning committee for all the effort that I think we as a team have put into it. And I certainly have been told that our committee has been somewhat more professional than many others. And that's thanks to you, all my colleagues, and to all the officers which helped us. So I hope you have a good December in whatever way you wish to do it. Thank you very much, everyone. And just to conclude, we were going to see each other. The next meeting will be on the 20th of January, 2021 at 4 o'clock. And as colleagues know, there is a call over always before that on the Monday at 9 o'clock. So thank you once again. And I hope you manage to have a whatever lovely time you're going to have. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Well chaired meeting. Thank you.